So here I am. It's a bit drizzly, not the nicest of days, but you know, I've got wipers, it's fine. So obviously I did the previous little talk on Y series Land Rovers and that sort of analogue, back to basics, old school sort of driving. So, which is applicable, I think, to older vehicles generally, certainly to older Land Rovers. But what about a 1 ton? Obviously the channel is 1 ton Land Rovers, even though only 2 that I own are 1 tons. So there's the 88 and my Defender. So why 1 tons for me? And all I can really offer is my, I suppose, personal journey with it, I guess. I mean, I think Land Rovers generally, you know, they're a bit out there, a bit unusual. A 1 ton is unusual within Land Rovers. They were rare even when they were new. They're very rare now. You know, seldom come up for sale, maybe one every couple of years, something like that. Oh, these brakes are a bit sharp. It's not been used for a while. Certainly for me, yeah, the rarity value was partly appeal. Although when I first got this, which was 21 years ago, I don't think I quite appreciated just how rare they were. They only built 170 of these. The Suffolk Series, they only built 50. And this one, pretty unmolested, really. Still its original gearbox, original axles, chassis has been extensively rebuilt, but it is the original. So what is it about them? I mean, I think, yeah, the rare is definitely part of it. I think they look cool. I get a lot of people see, oh, that looks really cool, the big tyres, they're jacked up. Fits very much in the sort of mindset a lot of people have. When they buy any Land Rover, bigger tyres, taller suspension, make it look sort of macho, a bit full guy. But the 1 ton is like that from the factory, because they were designed to do a job. I don't think Land Rover were particularly concerned whether they looked cool. They were made to do a job, they were designed to carry a full ton off-road, which was quite an achievement for the late 60s. They did that. Obviously, the vehicle is essentially a hybrid of a forward control and a standard Land Rover. They're based off a 6-cylinder, so it's a bit more powerful. This gearbox is longer. Land Rover dual rebuild. But yeah, these were particularly desired by recovery companies, had a lot, mainly went to electricity companies, because they really were in the thick of it, in the bad terrain. And that's where the 1 ton really sort of shines, is its off-road ability. You know, the huge tyres, so you've straight away improved your approach and departure angles, way through deeper mud. They can keep going with the low gearing, 2B transfer box. They can keep going where a standard Land Rover found them. A lot obviously were really special bodywork, cherry pickers and that sort of thing. And I think, for me anyway, you know, it's nice to be keeping an unusual vehicle on the road, and indeed this is a big part of why I've left it as it is. It's still got the low geared transfer box. It's still got the 916s on, which are increasingly hard to get these days. You know, I mean, this is with these vehicles, you can't get the bits. ENV axle parts are not exactly on the shelf. Six-cylinder engine parts, probably not as bad as some people make out, but it's not the same as touring quality. You can't just go to your normal Land Rover parts supplier and pick up six-cylinder engine parts. This one, obviously, the ENV axles, Series 3s, ended up with Salisbury's eventually. So at least the rear axle you can get the bits for. The fronts you really can't. You know, these are all in really sort of penny numbers. One good thing with this, it actually fired up relatively easily compared to the video I posted a couple of weeks ago. I'm tempted to agree. I think it's the petrol. People have been saying that modern petrol is leaving a sort of residue in carburetors, which it's just gutted. The engine can't run on it, but it did fire up fairly quickly, compared to before. I mean, with this, I'm hoping it needs repainting. It'd be nice to get the body sorted out. There's a few, I mean, the gearbox desperately needs to rebuild as well. So that's the plan going forward. And then once this is done, I'll do the cherry picker. We've got a bit of a plan, or at least options available for that. I mean, as far as I know, it's the oldest one that's still in anything approaching regular use. Number 2 does exist, but I think it's just in a collection. I don't think it's been used. I may be wrong, I'd like to be wrong. I do remember seeing some years ago number 8. At least the vehicle apparently existed, but I never saw it. Because this all goes back for me to my first car was a Series 3, and I went to a Shanning's Driffield Land Rover show. I think before it actually moved to Driffield, it was somewhere else. Steve Graham's Series 3 1-ton number 1 was there. And I thought, that's really cool, I like that. I read about it in the magazines. I thought, I fancy one of those, and found this. I put an advert in the magazine for the Land Rover club I was in at the time. The guy rang me up, and the rest, as they say, is history. Here I am with it. I don't see how I could ever part with it, you know. I'd never get another one, even if I got another 1-ton, it's not the oldest on the road. So, yeah, but I like as well as keeping a bit of Land Rover history alive, it's industrial archaeology, because it's the vehicle as used by the electricity companies, or the electricity boards as they were then, which, you know, you look even just at Land Rovers, loads of fire engines and ambulances, military ones, quite a few GPO, but there's very few from the electricity industry, which is surprising because they were one of the biggest civilian buyers. Southern alone probably running close to 250 or 300 Land Rovers at any one time. So you've got to wonder where they all went. I like the fact it's a bit different. It's rare, like unarguably. And I think I'm keeping something going. I think a lot of us who own these things, we see ourselves as custodians. Really, eventually I won't be able to drive. This will have to pass on to someone else. God willing, I may have had children by then, so they can inherit it, but who knows. And certainly, yeah, my plan is to keep this going as long as possible. But definitely, yeah, I do get a lot of people, I say a lot, you know, on occasion, and I really want one of those, and I'm like, do you know you can't get bits for it? And it does like somewhere between 10 and 12 mpg if you're gentle. So it is a labour of love to live with. I know I'm not alone in it. There's a couple of other people I know and equally as passionate. We've all worked together to help each other out. They do have a bit of a following. But the likelihood of others coming up, I don't know. I reckon I found them all. I think if there are any others out there, those people, they're keeping the lid on it. So there you go. But yeah, hopefully many more adventures to come in this one. I just wanted to add a little bit to what I said previously. These people, I really want a one-ton. One thing I hear a lot is, oh, they'll only do 40 miles per hour. This isn't true. If you're really, really worried about fuel economy, and if you are, why are you driving a Land Rover? Then sure, you wouldn't want to drive it very quick. But this, I find, is perfectly happy cruising at 50. Don't have any issue with that. I don't, never had any problems really in that respect. It has a bit more to give. I mean, if you get a decent sort of downhill stretch, you might hit 60. The book top speed actually was, I think, 67. But I think it would be a challenge getting that, certainly if it was laden. And yeah, the engine is doing, 4,500 RPM and sort of 50 odd. It is very low gear, but obviously it's made for off-road use. But yeah, they're not quite as bad as people make out. I think a lot of people who, in my opinion anyway, they drive a modern car, it's all they've ever known. It's all soundproof, you can't really hear the engine doing anything. And they get in a Land Rover and they're like, oh, it sounds like it's going to blow up. No, it's fine, that's just what they sound like. Because they're revving, they're low gear. Engines didn't produce quite so much torque back then. So, it's not a big deal. getting to start used to it. But no, they do go faster than 40. That's not a big concern at all.